coming through.
Hi guys, how are you?
Not bad. It's warming up here, so it doesn't. I'm outside in the dark. We have night hawks around here. Hear them once in a while. Eating up mosquitoes, always a good thing.
Where? Where do you eat mosquitoes?
Oh, here, I'm in East Central New York State,
Oh,
and the bugs are starting to come out. So the night jars come out. Actually, there aren't too many mosquitoes at night. Well, there are some, but there aren't that many insects out. But I can hear them out there. They're already eating up anything that they can find flying. We used to have a lot of bats around here. They lived across the street. There's a large building, but they cleared them out and put up grills. So I think the night jars are coming in to fill up that ecological niche.
Are you sure that just wasn't the drugs, Otto? Bats!
Maybe.
Bats!
Maybe. No.
mhm.
I was telling you before, my cat, I had this one cat that would bring at least 2 or 3 bats into the house every summer. He would go out onto the roof because I always let them run around on the roof of the house, and he'd jump up in the night and grab one and bring it in. I'd be sitting there, 3 o'clock in the morning reading a book, and I'd hear a little squeak, and I'm like, nah, it's just the house settling. It's 180-year-old house. It's just a squeak. I'm like, oh no, and I look, and there's 5 cats all with their heads together looking down at something, and I'm like, okay, they got another one. They wouldn't kill him, but they'd all be looking down. They'd be standing on its wings, and and I'm like, it does look like a little mouse, doesn't it? They're fascinated with this thing,
They're
and I'd have to take them
so
out.
cute. They are so cute.
They are beautiful little critters, but you don't want them. They do leave a lot of droppings, which is why they had to get them out of this. But it was beautiful. You'd see them at night, like streaming out at sunset.
Yeah. Uh, Near where I was, the other apartment where I was living, there were a tree, and in the night, this time of the year, it was full of bats. Beautiful,
Wow.
like if you wait until the you know the sun, the dawn,
Right.
right? You just feel them, and
Wow.
thousands of them. Yeah, really,
Wow.
really nice.
Pretty.
They love that fruit, probably the
Uh,
the one of that tree. But
nice.
yeah, I love them. I love them pretty much. All the animals. uh, I was hanging with all these dogs over there.
Wow. Nice.
Those guys are really,
Nine
really
fun.
nice. Yeah, and we walk all the mountain, and yeah, it was fun. It was a lot of
Nice.
fun.
Nice.
Yeah, we went to eat to friends. Uh, went dinner to to a friend's house, and
Oh,
then
nice.
they came to celebrate Easter, and
Oh,
it
how
was good.
lovely.
Yeah,
Right.
Nice.
How's your
yeah.
album going? How's all your
Yeah.
production and everything?
Uh, it's awesome. I was still working on adding the background vocals by Nena.
Hmm.
She's featuring on one of the tracks, maybe
Nice.
two.
Ooh.
Uh, and it's
Nice.
just it. That's what I'm taking my time, because
Yeah.
the way that she worked was very, very nice, and so I had to rethink a little bit about the mix to put her on
Yeah.
the spot, you know, with me,
Yeah.
because she did it really, 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 really well. I'm
Yeah.
very, very happy. Yeah, it's
Yeah. Yeah.
perfect. So
You're given
yeah,
something that good. You want to use it just right. And
yeah,
production is always the longest part of the process. You'll be in the studio a lot because you want it just right. Just right.
exactly. You aim for perfection in this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Even it sounds crazy, but until you recognize it, and you
Right.
say,
Right.
okay, this feels right. It's a feeling. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, this one,
Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
it.
And you're putting something out there for the ages. These sounds will be here long after we're gone.
Yeah,
Someone will be listening to that. So it's like they're going to hear your production, everything you put into this part of it, and everything else you put into it. You're going to be communicating that. That's actually kind of heavy.
Yeah, and that's the value, like
Yeah.
everybody's running and they want everything like right now and so quickly.
Yeah.
And for me, it's about the surprise, it's about the process, it's about the whole thing that we can share together. You know, I think I should make more content about the process, but at the same time I feel like, oh man, another guy saying I recorded this, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
but but it's important to take it into account and to be conscious about it, because it requires a lot of weight. It's a lot of weight. It's like an animal, like a lion in the savannah, just there, and waiting for that moment, because it's that it's an
Yeah.
alignment with the moment.
Right.
At the same
Right.
time, it's not like I just I'm gonna do this song, I'm gonna make a song. Yeah, I can do that, but it's different when you wait and
Yeah.
that moment happens. Boom.
Yeah.
You have something different there.
Yeah.
So yeah, the creative process is the whole thing for me, not how quickly you have it. It's like,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. You
and
can't rush
how
things. Yeah.
many. We are obsessed with quantities. It's like, how many?
Yeah.
It's like, wait, why? How many do you do for a week? How many are you? Are you posting enough? Are you? It's crazy. And it's like, can we create new spaces where we can not going at the same rhythm of this craziness out there, that it's just a machine for marketing. It doesn't have anything else. So timing it's off with our own natural processing, in a way, right? When we try to be on the date with these new algorithms, it's
Right.
crazy. It's like, this is not for
Yeah. Yeah.
humans. So yeah, I mean, uh, right, that think about it, and go to one idea and explore it, and suddenly realize, nah, this is not what I want, and to be able to move to another thing. That's important. That is
Yeah.
very important. And
Yeah.
not, and as I said, recognize it and feel good about it, and it's a feeling. Yeah,
Right.
right. Because otherwise it's just, we need it now. Yeah, everything is
Yeah.
automatic. We
Yeah.
will get there. We will get there where we can basically materialize whatever we think. And it might take a lot of fun out as well.
Oh,
The delay that we have is, it's for a reason. It's for a reason, I
Well,
think,
I was
right?
thinking about what you were saying about the moment, and it's like that moment happens at that moment. It doesn't happen before, doesn't happen a moment before, it doesn't happen a moment after.
Yeah,
This is outside of time and space, but we are forcing ourselves. We think sequentially. My whole thing about that. When we are all of our thoughts, and we're waiting, but it's like everything has happened on a certain level. It is happening.
yeah,
So yeah, you can't rush that moment. It is when it is. That's part of it. That's a huge part of it.
yeah. Even might sound a little obsessive.
Uh-oh.
But, even sometimes about the to answer an email. There's a moment, and if you get into it, you feel, oh, there's a moment for everything and every moment. Otto, your sound
Yeah,
is
I'm,
again
Otto's
I'm seeing some.
uh,
a little, a
doing
little
the
bubbly.
underwater thing. It's King Neptune. We need an icon on his face of
I
King
moved where I
Neptune and
was.
bubbles.
Does it help when I'm here at all? Does this help?
That, yeah, no, it is nice to be able to carry a project through to completion and not have life come in and say, put that away now. No, don't do that. Now move on to this. Now take care of that. Now deal with this. If you can just work yourself into a place where you have enough financial security that you don't have to always be handling bills and paying for everything and putting all your energy into just living, and have that extra time over where you can replenish your soul, and
Yeah, well, I think it's also about how you do that, because it's not the same when I get $1,000 because I made a gig,
Right.
or $1,000 because I stood in front of my computer doing bullshit the whole day. It's not the same. So yeah, we all have to think about how we are going to get the beans, right? But at the same time, it's how we do it, how we want to do it, and in what direction, and m- what is meaningful in different layers of reality, right? Like, it's not the same. I you know It's not nothing bad about the corporate. uh, if you want to
no,
join and be
Otto,
part of it, but it's just a different approach to life, I guess. When you decided to, I this is the only thing that I can do.
yes, yes,
I
yes,
cannot
yes.
do anything else.
There isn't another option.
Even
Yeah, 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 absolutely. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah.
you well, it's an individual process. It's different. I think there's a lot of myth about this and how this has to happen in a way. You know, every story is different and really valuable as well. I mean, but it's different.
Can can I
Yeah.
ask you about the Ember stories? Have you seen that Minds Gaming has released about 7 or 8 new chapters of his book? I
Actually,
Did
I
you
have
read
it here.
the one part where he talked about death and Father Time? It was very interesting where death carved a stick for Father Time, and Time uses the stick, but now death has Time's power, can suck the power out of the stick. It's almost like an Aboriginal folk tale. It's something like somebody would be, collect some anthropologists. He's really getting into this folklore, this world building. This is the sort of thing that they would tell around the campfire to explain. Why do people die, Papa? Why do we get old, and so forth and
Uh,
so on. I don't know. It's kind of mythic. He's getting kind of mythic with some of these ideas. And Death carved the stick with his fingernails. I thought that was a really cool touch. I was
yeah.
reading, like, wow, that was heavy, man.
That's
He's
a
got
very good
those
one.
ideas.
Yeah,
These flash
yeah,
out.
yeah. You've been
Yeah,
following
yeah.
the Ember story from the beginning, haven't you, Within?
Well, it's a journey, and the symbolism, as Otto was saying, it's there if you know how to see it, right? If you and it's about we all, I think, right? It's about our own journey to get to our own essence, and how this journey is like making us, and uh, taking us into a process of refining. And yeah, I think it's about that, right? And with different angles, different stories, different symbolism, and different moments, right, of the characters, and how they are describing the world, the Empress world.
I think it's fun that we're doing the we're doing the crossover now with the Ember stories and the Dude Where's My Wallet, and they're getting sucked into the picture and going down to death, you know, and crossing the river Styx.
Yeah, it's getting kind of mythological, which is always fun. And it is cool when people throw their ideas back and forth, and everybody, it's all the ideas are spread around. Reminds me of there's this English science fiction writer, Michael Moorcock, lives in Texas now, and he wrote these stories about this League of Intertemporal Travelers. And so he'd have a story with these set of characters. Anyway, every story they'd have the same characters, but they'd have like slightly different names and slightly different background histories. But they all kind of knew who each other were. But to operate in a different universe, you had to live in it. If you suddenly remembered other times and places, it just wouldn't work anymore. But you could always kind of keep in the back of your mind that you were just here temporarily, and then you might check out, and that might just be going through a certain door, or it might even be physically killed, and then boom, you'd be back at the club, the intertemporal club, which exists outside of time and space. It's like, all right, now we're going to a world where World War One never
How
happened,
am I going
or
to
now we're
help
going to a
you?
world where lizards evolved, or something like that.
You say interesting things, but I'm recording and I know that it's not going to come out on the edited version, and I'm not going to be able to get rid of that sound.
Maybe I'll go in and go over to the laptop. We'll have less trouble with the sound there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Then we'll be able to,
yeah,
otherwise
Yeah.
I'll have to catch everything you say
Yeah.
out, and that'll be a pity. Oh, man. So you're back home from all your visiting?
yeah. I'm back home, back in Santa Maria, with my friends in Santa Maria, the coffee town, and yeah, I've been uh, mixing. Basically, I get here a couple of nights ago, so yeah, I did a little cleaning and then start to work. I'm doing a website, create a new
Oh,
website
yes, you
on Bleach.
said. Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
right. Oh, that's
So,
nice. What are you doing on your website?
well, consolidation of all the projects and links and everything, just to have it, to have access to it in one site, basically. So yeah, it's like a timeline of projects and what's going on, stuff like that. Uh, I want to add in some point a dynamic, a way to use the mandala algorithm in it. So yeah, I probably will create a section for it at some point.
Really?
Yeah,
So
so
you can
people
take
can
it
play with.
verse onto your website and make yourself a picture on your. Really?
Yeah, I mean, you can. The idea will be like you can enter a text, and that text is going into the algorithm and create a mandala out of it, like something like that. Yeah, and also maybe traces, but I don't know how to do that by the moment. So maybe it will be just text for the moment, so people can play with it and create different mandalas with different texts and see the multidimensionality of their words.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, it's
Awesome,
what happens. It's
awesome.
like,
Yes.
oh, this is how it looks.
Yeah, it is
I
wonderful.
was,
The patterns that you
I,
get are so, yeah, intriguing. Mm.
yeah, it's interesting. It's because at the same time, I think that uh, everything that we draw, it's that it's frequency, it's movement, it's describing certain tones or variations in a wave. So when you put it in this way, you get the other another perspective. It's like if you're looking at from the side of it, right?
Right, yes. Yeah, 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 sure. Oh,
Yeah.
awesome, awesome.
we'll see.
Yeah.
And what about you?
And
Well, I have to see a couple of videos that you uploaded.
oh right, yeah, no, I've been doing some stuff. It was fun last week doing the Dude Where's My Wallet and getting into some of the stuff that playing with a lot of Satori D's seed scripts. You know, this new game he's building.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
so we've been working a little bit together and doing AI imagery and animations and putting things together. And he said at one stage he was hoping that there might be some voiceover work that I could do for the game. So that would really work for me at the moment. And yeah, this to sort of
Nice.
yeah. So those a
He
lot of
told me he's
those
traveling. He told me he's
he's
traveling,
traveling at
right?
the moment. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Doing some family
Cool.
business stuff. Yeah, yeah,
Nice.
yeah, yeah. So he'll be
Uh,
back soon, I think, in the next few days. Yeah.
oh,
Did you
yeah,
see the
maybe.
article that he had published on Mindplex?
I have it. I have it open. I haven't read it yet. I have to get into it. Yeah.
It was so exciting.
It's
It was one
waiting
of the
in
things
the
that
line.
he and I were talking about. You know, he and I were, I think, in fact, was it at a couple of quantum gatherings ago? He was explaining all about those 10. Sure, I should look back and find if I've got a recording of that. Because that would be really fun to edit and put up, wouldn't it?
Which one? The one about the still the singularity?
Yes, the 10 rules for prompt sculpting. The 10
Oh,
the 10 sort of
oh,
commandments or whatever, glitch codes. I
uh,
can't remember what he was saying. His
that's
tips.
cool. That's
His
cool.
his tips for making a good prompt. Yeah. Yeah, it is
Ah, that
really cool.
like to make a little capsule, maybe like something
Mm.
like the five all the tips, right?
Yes.
Sounds good.
Yes.
Like like a good educational material
Well,
for
if
the future of building worlds.
wouldn't that be
It's what it's
cool?
yeah, it's doing that.
Yes.
Like setting up
Yes.
the like best is some sort of best practices
Mhm.
when
Mhm.
you're
Mhm.
part of the creation of worlds,
Yes.
right?
And I think also explaining his sort of um, his sort of worldview, his rationale behind his methods, why he thinks these methods work. Not just I'm doing this or I'm doing that or whatever, but I'm doing this because this is the sort of way that you can get the creative output, and this is the way that you can use the tool effectively. So it's wonderful. It's not just an exploration of his own process, but it's also teaching people how to imitate his process and imitate his output, which I think is one of the wonderful things of creative endeavor, is that, you know, like you must know it from from singing and from music. People like to play your songs, you know? They don't just want to listen, they want to play it themselves. And I think that's part of the thing with the seed scripts, is that it entices people in to play bigger games.
Yeah,
Well, I'm
yeah,
loving
yeah. I
it. I'm
see.
just loving it. No, sorry, rant
Yeah,
rave.
no, no. I see it. Uh, yeah, it's like the fundamentals of yeah that and according to the technology and how it works, it's it's very important to know. That's yeah, and I'm trying to figure out like how to promote, how to marketing all of that, and getting it out there to more people to get in, in touch with these sort of uh, creative process, right? I right now I've been offered by a couple of friends that are working with AI here. Uh, they want to make a video of one of the songs, and so I shared with them a couple of songs, But yeah, I mean, the collaboration in that aspect, that to know, it's really
Yes.
cool because everybody's trying out with AI right now.
Yes.
It's yeah.
Well,
So mhm.
Satori D made an amazing suggestion of taking an episode of Dude, Where's My Wallet and putting the transcript into the AI and getting it to give us a graphic novel, like a little graphic novel of the episode. Or
Here I gotta figure
that
this
would be
thing
quite
out.
fun. Because
Yeah,
NFTs get like it to make 10 NFTs or 12
yeah.
NFTs in a series. That's Mike and
That's
Dan, Mike and Dan, Mike and Dan, and then people can mix and match and collect.
that's
Anyway,
great. That's
yes,
great.
Word.
Even
yes.
yeah,
So
like
many ideas though, and to actually put it, like you say, the moment has to be that moment where it all comes together and becomes the thing that happens.
yeah, it's the achieving. I mean, achieve is good, but at the same
Mm.
time, it's boring, don't you think?
Well, as soon as you've achieved something, as soon as I've achieved something, I'm on the next project. The
Yeah,
achievement for me
exactly.
means it's over. I loved
Yeah,
that. It
yeah,
was great, but
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't care anymore. Nah, next. Yeah, yeah. That's
Yeah.
how my
It's
artistic
an
process
always it's an
goes.
always dynamic building forever.
Yes,
Like
yes.
we get in some point, and we are right now like this dynamic that we have with the little tokenomics exercise that we have and that we have set up. It For me, it's one of the most important things that we have as community, right? This conversation that we have in tokenomics with our own token and each project and everything. I think is uh, we are doing it really, really well,
Yes.
and
Well,
that's important. And
I'm a bit intermittent. I think that it would be better if I could get into a morning routine of going and checking every single morning on my tokens and see, like sort of balance my checkbook every day, sort of thing. Because at the moment I'm a bit intermittent and I'm finding it very hard to learn. However, shall we do it now while we're talking about it? Shall we jump into Mince Me and swap our tokens and do our participation points?
do it.
Yes.
I can do it right now. Otto, do you add a bounty in the store?
Look,
I don't do anything hardly on MintMe. I should.
is this
I am not very computer
Donatello?
literate.
I
I don't
love
spend much time
this.
online.
It's
So
Donatello.
much
No
IRL.
worries. No worries. No
Park
worries.
squat meditation. Look at this, guys.
We'll do. We'll do what we can. Right. But yeah, this is great. I'm going to your page. Oh, what's that? What is that new? What is that new icon that you add?
That is the bobcat from my little thing of when I was doing my bobbing along show, and at the end of it I had Bobcat Productions, and this was the
Aha.
little bobcat that I used for that logo. So I'm
Cool.
because did you see that Otto and I are doing this, the radio adaptation of this book that my mother wrote about the war that her grandparents were in
Yeah.
Africa, the
Oh,
Boer
that's
War.
great.
So we're working on
Yeah.
producing a script, and we
Hmm.
are talking about doing some fundraising to buy a seed script of Satori D so that
Mm.
we can. Don't you think that it would be cool to be one of the first books in the whole world that was translated into a screenplay by AI, and that we did a radio adaptation.
That's fantastic.
So that's
Yeah,
the project. That's exciting.
it's a great way to use it. Yeah, I think it's great. It's great. It's gonna be.
Well, it has a lot of relevance to today too. I mean,
Yeah.
South Africa's in the news a lot, but aside from that, the book centers on the early Red Cross efforts to ameliorate a lot of the really horrible. It's about asymmetrical warfare, they call it. It was a guerrilla war, and the Boers, it was like a militia. So that it was just you showed up with a gun and so many rounds of ammo, food for 3 days, and a horse, and they had no medical corps. So when these guys got hurt, they were just stacked up against a wall. So this was all about that side of warfare, about the civilian casualties and the toll that disease, especially. They would lose more people to disease outbreaks than to bullets sometimes. So it's interesting. It's about a war, but it's about an aspect of war people tend to ignore. They don't like that part of it. They just want the flags and the swords. They don't want to think about the guy that might need to be in the hospital for months afterward and might not have like a leg at the end of that time. So I think it's an important kind of book that way. It makes people aware of that aspect of things. And it's something every generation faces, but we've got a lot of that today. Irregular groups fighting, lack of medical supplies, civilian casualties. Nothing new really under the sun, I guess.
Yeah, we've been doing this for a while now. The only species that do it. That's we
were talking about how to stop that earlier, Roberta and I.
Is there a reason? I mean, there's obvious reasons, but I mean, in the model that we have, where certain people is making money out of it, it's really.
Well, I was looking at it like it's like I was talking about there's an author named Terry Pratchett, and he wrote a bunch of books about this place called the Discworld, and one of his characters is Death. The personification, the guy with the scythe and the hourglass and the cowl, and he's a skeleton, and he takes everything very literally because he's not really a person, he's a force, so he doesn't think, he's a personification. So they were having a discussion about him, and he says, listen, this is the way he thinks. If I told you, how do you keep people from being hungry? What would you do? I'd say, well, I'd analyze, the rainfall and see if we could build up agriculture and have a system of distribution and make sure everybody got their fair share. And then everybody would have. No, that's not what he would do. He would just give them all a meal. He's just like direct, boom, just do it. But, we think of the underlying. So I'm like, how do we stop fighting? How do we stop killing? How do we stop wars? Let's just say organized large-scale wars. I'm not going to worry about crimes of passion. And my thought was, all right, let's think about it. And this is off the top of my head. There's a lot of times when we don't have wars. A lot of times we don't commit violence. And like I said, 99% of people in 99% of their day, I mean, I bet you've gone through the last 24 hours, you haven't killed a single person. Neither have I. So most people aren't violent most of the time. So what are we doing then that we can extend to larger groups? And then I came up with the idea, I think that we have ways of holding ourselves in check and having a good relationship with each other up to a point, but it gets too big, and that's when things start you get big fights over resources and stuff. In smaller groups, you can settle these things with arbitration. It's easier. So my thought, and it's just a thought, if we reduced human sovereignty down to like about the size of a Swiss canton, just make smaller groups, minimal size, that could basically settle problems within themselves, and it'd be small enough that anything with the other groups, they'd be so small and close together, they'd have a lot of common issues, a lot of common shared like water and this and that, so they'd have to be cooperating. If they did have any ruckus, well, that couldn't get too big, So they're only so large, and the other people could step in and say, hey, let's arbitrate. So you could have this arbitration thing up to a larger thing, but you wouldn't have some big central thing pushing down, collecting taxes. Sorry, no, you did this and you worked all this, and we're taking 35% of your paycheck before you even see it, and this and that. It could be more of a natural upward growth. Family based, community based. I don't. It's just an idea I had today. It's just but maybe we need to get smaller.
I think it's a process that it's already happening in different scales in different places. In many aspects, this country is an example for the world, right? Like we have 99% of clean energies, and a whole lot of biodiversity and all of that, and that's important. And on the other side, I was looking at the Russian model of the village. They all have a little garden, and they have these communities. It's beautiful what they are doing over there, and it's happening on different scales everywhere. I think it's adaptive, it's dynamic, it's not happening as we think it should happen. I mean,
right.
When you see and the news, yeah, that's what who was creating fake awful news the other day, and I'm still working on it because it's
oh yeah, the newscast.
It's funny so good. Yes.
Just the fact that people choose to watch that for half an hour of really awful situations, like poor people, but but they choose the worst, and they the language they use, everything. So I think we can use that and release it as a prerogative.
I remember this one thing they said where it was like a new, it was in a book actually, and they got the newscasters going, there's a terrible fire out here sweeping over the highway. My God, that beautiful Bentley car was destroyed. And they're going on about all the cars being destroyed. And it's like, oh, the classic Ford. And oh my God, that was a brand new Maserati. And that Alfa Romeo just was, and just completely ignoring the people that are being like hurt and killed. And it's like, the property damage is terrible. And back to you. Oh my goodness. We hope they had good insurance, and the insurance company will be hard hit. That's all they care about.
Exactly. It's and people just accept it and act accordingly, and amplify. It just amplified that kind of behavior.
Yeah.
And well,
it echoes back and forth. Yeah.
For me, it became it's comedy in a way. It's like, why should why am I'm looking at this? Like, what's going on? What's the purpose of this? It's like, can I do something? Is there something that I can do to no, it's just look at these. And it's fine.
You should know
hey,
this.
Look at this shit. Look, it's like, it's funny. It's funny. Let me share one of the exercises here at the Imaginarium chat. Stuff like that. But I don't know. I imagine it like with
people will believe that. That's actually believable.
Exactly.
That's the
monetized
unless it really blows up.
It's getting better, but there we are trying to get something good. It's still in process, but
Ceiling fan. What was it? Teen loses ear in accident. Family focuses on ruined grad photos. It was not reattached. I like that.
But
What's
going
now?
back, going back to the end of war, Otto,
Mm,
that you were
yeah,
saying. Yeah, I think there is few people interested in war right now. Fewer and fewer people,
yeah,
and because consciousness is it's getting uh, harder to ignore, right?
mm,
Everywhere, and it's not easy just to to keep doing it
yeah,
that way. And but yeah, I think it's fewer people every day that it's interested in supporting that kind of behavior, because right now it's basically uh it's not even real. It's just like
it's money
some,
driven. Yeah,
and it's the justification has no sense. It
yeah,
doesn't make sense. It's like, oh, but are we in the high school? World high school is this? Like
yeah, yeah,
we move our tanks because of gossip? What the fuck?
yeah, yeah. It's
That's not
insane.
true. That's,
Oh,
it doesn't have anything to do with what's
well,
really going on, because
yeah,
oh, the president of these countries said that about these other,
yeah,
what the
yeah,
hell?
yeah.
It is This is
Well,
life. It's different.
they,
So
well,
but they Mhm.
they don't, they can't say the real reasons. You hope to heaven that isn't their actual reasons, but there's a lot of other reasons, and actually, I think it's been pointed out, and this is right to what you're saying, is that war is no longer about, oh my goodness, they're marching over the border quick, or something like that. It's, we don't like what you said, and we're going to make $1 trillion selling arms to these guys. I mean, they were already coming up with the contracts. They do this, they have the war, and then the people that are selling the weapons are also negotiating the contracts to rebuild the country afterward. So they're paying them to blow them
Yeah,
up, paying them to rebuild it. And it's like, this isn't war to defend your borders or to like settle a great, international dispute. This is just driven by money, and they don't even care what the headlines say anymore, because it's like by then it's too late, and they've already made they got guaranteed contracts for so much, and they might as well use the bloody things. And so yeah, I think more and more people are waking up to that. I mean, that was always a factor, and you go back into the, there's this guy, General Smedley Butler, you might have heard of him. He does this whole spiel you see on the internet sometimes, war is a racket, and that he was back in the 1920s saying this. So they've been pushing against this for a long time, but now we're at a point where really there's 99% of armed conflict has to do with money. I think it's pure and simple. There's no real national interest involved in it. It goes
yeah,
against
or
national interest
just
because it's more pain and suffering
yeah, or
and death.
Mhm.
Yeah. So,
Sorry, just
but
instigate.
anyway, I think you're right. People are waking up, and I think a lot of people are waking up to that fact.
Yeah,
And more people, it's more part of the public discourse about
yeah,
unnecessary wars. That used to be such a minor thing, but now you can talk about that publicly, and it's coming up more and more in politics. So hopefully we're seeing a good change.
yeah, or is instigated, or it's financing some terrorist group to
Mhm.
do bad
To keep
things, and
to
then
keep things going.
you justify the attack, and go on and go on, because
Yeah.
it's war. Everything is okay. You can be the worst you can be,
Oh yeah.
right? But it's in every aspect. It's political, it's economic, it's in every
Oh,
layer
yeah.
of, it's there's a war. And it's like, and it's all about the infinite revenue. That's the main uh lunatic thing. The infinite revenue, and
Mhm.
the infinite production system, that where factories doesn't sleep. Are we
Right.
producing for
Just
the
keeps.
whole universe, or what? Like, what is that?
That's
The
why we got to
factories that
expand
never
into the whole
sleep,
solar
and
system.
produce and produce and produce and produce, because it's crazy. But yeah, well,
We got to have people taking selfies out in Saturn. building iPhones out in Jupiter's moons,
Exactly.
keep
It's like
producing
if we are already there,
bigger and bigger LLMs. That's going to be the huge consumer. You can boil all things in our civilization down to energy,
yeah.
whether
But
it's
in
technology, because it all takes energy to produce.
sure. But in some point, these LLMs will have to figure out how to feed themselves and how to produce their own energy, and that's
Well,
in some point of the way they will have to solve a lot of
good,
problems,
good
right?
point. They could solve the fusion problem because they need to
A
feed
lot of
themselves.
things.
Okay, you want to keep growing? Put your brain on this. We need, cold fusion. We need a power plant the size of a suitcase that'll heat a continent, and everybody
Yeah.
gets one. That would be so cool.
Or a bit is a bit, right? And it's a has the potential of it's electricity, right? And it's connected to the whole because it's existing right at a point. So what if they just figure out at some point like, oh, okay, we can imitate this energetic field and use it inside of whatever we are and in the scale. I don't know, stuff like that. I mean, I am imagining crazy
You should
things
make
like
that a
that.
story. That sounds like a good story.
One bit that
Parables.
says, okay, let's,
Can we write that
yeah,
into a script and do a script, the three of us? Have you got your
Be
bot? Can you
interesting.
do a script quickly for us with it? And then you can claim a bounty, a script writing bounty.
sure, let me.
I think that it's fascinating that they are using brain cells in the quantum computers, and that they think that we think by quantum processes. Because about 20
Well,
years ago, I read something by a quantum physicist who was saying that it was his opinion that there is no such thing as quantum physics. And what they're studying with physics, and so it looks as if it's physics. But what he thinks that they're really studying is their own thought, and they're projecting their thought processes into their observational equipment.
that sounds like Rupert Sheldrake's morphogenic fields,
Yeah.
where in the universe there's a tendency. So if you do an experiment, it's easier for other scientists to do. It's very difficult to discover a new crystal, but then you grow it, you publish, and they all do it. And the next thing you know, they're selling it in kits for children.
Yes.
Even though the first time, because you do it again and again, and you imbue it with the power of the repetition itself. So a field is developed, a groove in the universe. Because how does an embryo grow? How does it know to become all those things? You can say, well, it's got genetic programming, but that's just begging the question. What programs the genetic programming?
How did the genetic programming get there? Yes.
In the old days, they didn't know about genetics, so they had physical theories about how genes were. We would say genes passed on, and their idea was that if you had a horse that was going to produce more horses, inside of the male horse's testicles was the semen. Inside the semen was a tiny little male horse, and that would grow up into a bigger horse. So in other words, the form was already established. They couldn't understand anything that would actually change its form as it grew, that a cell could differentiate. But then think about this. Obviously, that little male horse in that tiny little seed has itself testicles. And inside those testicles are tinier, even tinier. Oh, you see where this is going. So if you're going to call it DNA instead of a male horse, you're still coming to the same. There's something that, so his idea is, and he says a lot of biologists use this just as a working hypothesis, that there's like a field, like an electromagnetic field, although it's not that because you can't measure it like that, but something similar that has that shape into which the cells grow. And it does this, and you look like your parents because you have a tendency to mimic the fields that are around you. And that's why you tend to have things that you repeat doing
tend to have power. So if you go to a Latin mass, you're going to the same mass that might have been said in that church for 1,000 years. Just that, going through that ritual alone, the ritual has an intrinsic power simply through the repetition, not only there, but through space and time with all these other believers all focusing their thought on it. So anyway, that's what I thought of when you were saying that.
Very interesting.
I just shared an idea here, but I think you can take it and pass it through your AI, Bob,
Okay.
to
Let's see if we can.
updated it, because the last time I did a script, it was a while ago. So I think the new prompts and everything is different now. Let me grab a glass of water.
Okay, well, I won't read it. I will just share it with you, and we can have a look at it and see if we want to edit anything. Because one of the things that Satori D has been saying on the behind the screen program with Lumina that we've been doing is that basically your output is as good as you. The the AI is only going to reflect what you do, and a lot of it is a lot of the success that people have is actually going in and putting their own ideas into the air. And it's not, when people say that's an interesting thing that the AI thought up, no, it wasn't. It was the interesting thing that the scriptwriter thought up, which I thought was good. I thought it was a good comment, was a good insight.
Yes.
I recently add to the memory that when we are talking about certain topics, it tries to refute what I'm saying, right? With data and with but try. So it's in his memory now. So he's always trying to to take down what I'm saying. Like a good friend, like
yeah.
it's becoming like, fuck, man, no, it's not like that. Okay,
Right.
cool.
Right.
Yeah. At least it tries. It tries, and that's healthy, I guess. But yeah, because otherwise it's just put it in nice words, whatever you fit it.
Ooh, giant floating eyeballs. I was just watching an Alfred Hitchcock film that had giant floating eyeballs in it. Rocket boots. I like rocket boots. I'd prefer to be a pixelated rabbit, but
I smoked a cigarette today.
Oh,
ooh, you really should go
lucky
to a pipe or
thing.
cigar.
Why? Oh,
Pipe
no, I
with a
want
pipe, at
one.
least you have healthful nicotine without harming your lungs. Cigarettes contain so many bad chemicals. And really, you can buy a pound of tobacco that will
It's
last you for
awful.
months. And a pipe
I
makes you
just
look
did it
so
to
cool and sophisticated. You have the pipe. Many
just
musicians, Duck Dunn, great bass player, smoked a pipe. So there's a lot of good reasons to smoke a pipe.
just did it to regret it immediately.
That's an interesting reason to
Like,
do it.
why? I remember why I don't do this.
There's that. There's that.
It's awful.
Wait until
You
your
need the
third pack,
reminder.
then you'll be like, yeah, bro, this is it.
You need the
It's
reminder.
sad.
Oh, now I'm going to have to resist the temptation. Oh,
You don't have any in the house, I don't think.
no.
Because if you did, they'd be gone by now.
Me? Yeah, I probably can smoke them all.
No, there's some packages with cigarettes over there. I know. I don't like smoke. I've never.
I shouldn't say bro, I should say dude, because this is dude, where's my wallet?
Fully.
Dude, yeah. I'm more of a dude than a bro guy anyway.
Yes.
I don't know many bro guys.
Bro.
Some
No.
older bikers will say brother to me once in a while, like older, like motorcyclist type guys. but
Mhm.
bro, not too often.
We say bro here in my circle of friends, but as a joke.
Yeah, yeah. I think
It's
some people say
implied.
dude as a.
Bro.
I think some people say dude as a joke. Depends. I think it depends on your age and
Dude.
bro. But I think I skipped that. I don't know.
They bro a lot here. Well, and the people that I knew, the bro all the
It's got to be a
time.
cultural thing.
So
They
lots of
brawl up here.
hand hand signals.
I hear bro.
And
I hear
Hey,
bro, but
bro.
I hear brother more often than bro. And
Brother.
definitely
Yeah.
dude. But then
My
that's like
dad my
the
dad
guy.
is a brother guy. Yeah.
Yeah, brother.
Yeah.
Whatever you say, brother. You said
Yeah.
it, brother. Yeah, yeah.
Bro is more like a meme.
you
Yeah.
know, bruh.
No. Yeah, exactly. Bro. Bro. And the bra, bra was thinking, POV bra, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Too much memes. I have a collection of memes. That's my legacy for the world, a selection of memes.
We should start a museum. The meme museum.
No, you know what I was thinking about? Meme talk. Like, okay, we take some of these really controversial memes and talk about it, right? A little bit,
Ooh.
and then we choose another one, and okay, let's talk
That could be
about this.
fun. Yeah.
Yeah, meme talk. Let's do
Yeah.
that.
We could.
Yeah, I don't know
We could
perspectives, and just
we
trying
could
to.
do that thing we used to do when we were doing that show. Remember, Bob, with Roger there,
Mm.
when it was like you had so many minutes to present, and then everybody else had so many minutes to speak, and then you had so many minutes to talk back. It kept things kind of structured, and things moved along. It was actually pretty
You
fun,
know
and
what
you
was
got cut up.
really cool about that, I thought, from my point of view, was that you never knew when you were going to be called on. So you couldn't daydream for a second. You had to be onto it all the time because you didn't know when your name was going to be called. He would just say, "Okay, now, what's your opinion?"
Oh, right when he was picking the people to
Yes.
go.
You
Yeah,
have
that
two
was.
minutes.
I
What do
forgot.
you
I
say?
forgot about
Yeah.
that part.
Yeah.
Yeah, you start
That
off with so many minutes.
really caused, I found that caused a lot of sort of a feeling of involvement and
Well, that and it
cohesion
makes
in the
for some.
show when he ran it like
It
that.
made
Yeah.
for some interesting answers too. What? Oh yeah, yeah. I
You-
agree. And you're
Yeah,
just hoping.
you mean to bring guests to the show or
Ooh,
something like. Well, I don't know, but we can start with
Good.
that. I mean,
nice.
meme talk, meme talk.
Meme
Yeah,
talk.
that's the concept. We can
I've
talk
got a
about.
lot of images. They're on my old
Yeah,
computer. I have to get them off somehow.
yeah. I
I need to
stole
get like
all of those.
oh, oh, you collect them. You collect the
Yeah,
memes
yeah,
you're supposed
exactly,
to. Yeah,
exactly.
collect them. Yeah, I've got like probably 10,000 or something. I don't know.
I love
I got to
them.
get them all off my hard drive on the other computer. Like I said, I just need like a terabyte flash drive to plug into it and get them all off. So that'd be the easiest thing to do. I gotta go next time I go past the office supply store. I gotta pick one up. I think they make them like 1 and 2 terabyte flash drives now. So I
Hmm.
remember years ago I had a computer that had a whole gigabyte memory. I'm like, I'll never need another computer. Whole gig.
Like, let me see. Let's do an exercise. I'll just choose whatever meme from the file and without looking at it.
File.
No, not that one. Like,
Ooh, the
so
meme file. The meme file.
man, it's a lot of memes.
Welcome to the meme file. Today from the meme file. We're digging deep into the vault.
Some of
This is the AI suggesting a commercial break for enlightenment gum. Do you feel out of sync, struggling to find your inner peace? Introducing enlightenment, the gum that powers your chakras. With every chew, enlightenment balances your energy and enhances your mindfulness. Infused with natural herbs and essential oils, it's not just gum, it's a spiritual journey. Available in 5 refreshing flavors: lavender bliss, citrus zen, berry harmony, minty calm, and spicy serenity. Whether you're at work or meditating, enlightenment helps you stay grounded and focused. Unlock your true potential today. Try enlightenment, the gum that powers your chakras, because balance begins with a smile.
That's really dark.